Hey guys, right now it is 4:30 p.m. in the afternoon, so I decided to read a book before I attend a birthday party of my cousin's. Yes, today is my cousin's birthday, so I will attend his birthday at 5:50, so like 5:30. Right now, I decided to read some book before I go, so I will read chapter 3 of the book, Wave Me Goodbye. Yes, last time was so exciting because Shirley had to sit with some Charlie Chaplin and some really mean girls. But she will find her best friend very soon in chapter 3. Let's get started. Before we begin, I have to drink some water first. Okay, chapter 3. I sat squashed up beside Sister Josephine while the train hurtled forward, carrying me miles and miles and miles away from my mom. I did my best to avoid catching any of the girls' eyes. I looked upwards instead. There was a large luggage rack stacked with all their suitcases. They were plain gray, all neatly bound with purple belts. I wondered how they could tell who was whose. Perhaps it didn't matter. Their clothes were all identical. Underneath the luggage rack, there was a picture. It showed apple green hills and a pale gray sky and a strange white horse. It seemed to be lying down, but its legs weren't tucked up. It was a giant horse, even bigger than the great Charles Beret horses that pulled their wagons around to all the public houses at home. After reading Black Beauty, I hadn't been able to bear looking at horses pulling carts. I tried to imagine Black Beauty, now no longer working, galloping happily up and down that hill, saying hello to the giant horses. I made the softest little whiny, but it went wrong, and I found myself snorted. "Blow your nose, child," Charlie Chaplin commanded. I dug in my skirt pocket and found a crumbled hanky. I also found an Old Mary Mail toffee and seized it joyously. I ungrabbed it under cover of my hanky and stuck it in my mouth, but it was a bit of disappointment. It was covered in grit and fluff, and I had to swallow it down quickly. I was starting to feel really hungry. I spent the next half hour longing to eat my corned beef sandwich and my Marbars and drink my dandelion and burdock, but I didn't like to tuck in when everyone's staring at me. When I so much as rustled the paper bag, the nun frowned at me. Perhaps eating was a sin in a convent. Maybe they were only allowed to eat in private, as if they were going to their silly WC. They didn't even seem to need the toilet anyway. They just sat there, the girls whispering to each other, and Charlie Chaplin staring into space, and occasionally muttering to herself. Perhaps she was saying her prayers. Maybe she was asking God not to send a bomb down on us. Mom had gone on about the danger, and I couldn't help worrying. The train made such a rattle and thump that it sounded as if bombs were exploding right now. What if a bomb exploded on Mom back in London? The idea got stuck in my head, though I kept shaking it violently. "What's that girl doing? Is she having a fit?" Goofy whispered. "She's just acting loony," said Munchin. I thought I'll show them what loony looked like. I crossed my eyes and let my tongue poke out sideways, and they both squealed. The nun glared. "Stop being silly, girls," she said. "But we're bored, Sister Josephine," Goofy whined. She sighed. "How about playing I Spy?" She suggested. I spy with my little eye something beginning with T. They guessed train, tunnel, and toes, and Thursa. And then someone suggested tummy, which made them giggle. "I know, toilet," said Goofy, and that made them all laugh fit to bust. I tried to look like I didn't care, but I knew I was blushing. "Tunic," said the girl next to me, the quiet one with the long black ponytail. Her own tunic was too long for her, way past her knees, and a deeper purple. It made her face look very pale. Yes, excellent, Jessica, said the nun. The other girls groaned. Jessica didn't seem to be very popular. She was the one I liked best. It's your go now, Jessica, said Sister Josephine courageously. I spied with my little eyes something beginning with H, she said. I knew straight away, but they didn't. They tried handkerchief and hat, and they went through a tedious list of hair, hair ribbon, hair slide, hair grip, and hairband. There aren't any more H words in the carriage, said Munchin. Yes, there are, said Jessica. You're just bluffing, you bug, said Goofy. No, she's not, I piped up. I know what it is. You're not playing. You're not one of us, said a freckly red-haired girl. Now, said Charlie Chaplin. That's not very kind. Go on then, says that word you think of, child. Horse. It's not horse, stupid. However could it be a horse? Said Goofy. Maybe she's seen one out the window, but that doesn't count, said Munchin. No, she's absolutely right. There is a horse in here, said Jessica, as she pointed to the painting below the luggage rack. They all peered up and then groaned. That's not a real horse, chorused Goofy and Munchin. Of course it's not. It's a painting of a white horse. Nobody says a chosen object had to be real. It's not even drawn right. It's all tipping over, said the freckly girl. It's a chalk horse. They cut them on a grassy hillside. I saw another one from a train once, said Jessica. Oh, bully for you, Newbug, said Goofy nastily. It's my turn now. No, it's not. It's hers. She guessed H is for horse, said Jessica, nodding at me. But she's not one of us. She just squashed in for somewhere to sit and somewhere to park her massive suitcase, said Munchin. She tried to fit in. What have you got in there? She made to open up my locks. Don't you dare, I said. All right, keep your hair on. Why are you getting so shirty? Maybe it's a body, said the freckly girl, and they all squealed stupidly. Girls, stop it, said Charlie Chaplin. I think that's as we had much an early breakfast. It might be time for lunch. She heaved herself up and reached for two bulging carrier bags on the luggage rack that all started to make an eager fuss, as if expecting a bouquet. I thought of the glorious breads I've seen in the Beano comic. Mounds of mashed potato with sausages sticking out at interesting angles, great jellies, and Cattle's enormous platters of cake, oozing jam and cream. The food that emerged from the carrier bag was a huge disappointment. The nun handed each girl a small grease-proof paper parcel containing 4 squares of meat paste sandwich and a custard cream biscuit. Then they were given a small bottle of milk with a straw. I felt very superior tucking into my own corned beef and pickle sandwich and swinging dandelion and burdock straight from the bottle. Then I produced my Marbars. They all stared at it enviously. Even Charlie Chaplin. I nibbled slowly, licking my lips. Lucky you, Jessica said softly. Here, you have a bite, I said, offering it to her. Really? No, girls, don't share your food like that, said the nun. But she was too late. Jessica had already taken a big chocolatey bite. Thanks ever so, she said. I'm Jessica. I know, I'm Shirley. Like Shirley Temple? Yes, only I'm not a bit like her. My hair's dead straight for a start, although my mom used to try to put it in ringlets. It didn't work though. I think ringlets look silly, said Jessica. And Shirley Temple got a silly face too. She puffed over her cheeks and pouted. Mabel Lucy Edward did the pictures in my Alice in Wonderland book, I said. Someone called Tannel did the pictures in my Alice, said Jessica. I was tremendously excited. I've never met someone who had an Alice book. Did you like the story? I asked. Yes, it makes me laugh. I've got my book in my suitcase, I whispered. Lots of books. Ah, so that's why it's so heavy. You lucky thing. We were only allowed to take one book. What do you choose? It was difficult. In the end, and I chose the Blue Fairy book. This was a surprise. A fairy book? Jessica seemed very clever and serious. I guess she had some big fat grown-up book like a Charles Dickens. So what have you got with you? All my books, I said. All? She said. You can't have. Yes, I've got ballet shoes and... Oh, ballet shoes my favorite, she declared. That's amazing, I said, and just then the train let out a loud hiss of steam, as if it were exclaiming too. We gazed at each other excitedly. Which sister is your favorite? Jessica asked. I can never quite choose. I think Petrova's the nicest. But I wouldn't really want to be a car mechanic. Pauline's the prettiest, but I hate it when she gets big-headed. So I think I like Posy best. I'd give anything to be a wonderful ballet dancer. Wouldn't you? I gabbled. No, I hate it. My mom made me have ballet lesson, and I was awful at it. I couldn't even get my feet to go in the right position. It just stuck out sideways like Charlie Chaplin's, said Jessica. I glanced at the nun, who was still chewing on her meat paste sandwich. Her mustache wobbled slightly at every bite. I washed up even closer to Jessica and whispered right in her ear. My mom said your sister Josephine looked like Charlie Chaplin, of course. Jessica's eyes opened wide behind her little old glasses. Then she burst out laughing. I laughed too, long and hard. Girls, calm down now, said the nun. That made us laugh even harder. Jessica started coughing and spluttering. That stupid news bug choking, Goofy announced. Thumb her hard on the back, someone, said Munchin. Here, you totty toilet. Hit your new friendy Wendy on the back. I tried rubbing Jessica back tentatively, not wanting to hurt her. She was bright red in the face now. Oh, for goodness sake, Jessica, said the nun. Go and stand outside in the corridor and take a deep breath at the window. Please, miss, I'll better go with her to make sure she is all right, I said. You can call me sister, not miss. Very well, off you go, she said. Jessica and I sailed out past my suitcase and escaped into the corridor. The short-haired lady was still standing by the window, smoking another cigarette. Choke up, chicken, she said to Jessica. You girls, forever getting the giggles. Still at least you're having fun. All the little ones back there have started howling for their moms. I better go and see if my friend has managed to calm them down. I was still weak with laughter, but I felt as if someone had flung a bucket of water over me at the mention of moms. I wanted my mom too. I felt 2 tears burst out of my eyes and hoped Jessica would think I was just crying with laughter. I sniffed hard. Jessica was sniffing too. Are you missing your mom too? I asked. No, she said. Not in the slightest. I can't stand her. I was shocked. I stared at her. I've never heard someone they say that couldn't stand their own mom before. Why? I said. Is she horrid to you? Did she smack you a lot? My mom smacked me sometimes. She said it was for my own good. I had to learn. Though all I learned was to run fast and boot myself in my bedroom when she raised her arm. No, she doesn't smack me. She'll have her ever there, said Jessica. What do you mean? Moms are always there, getting you up, putting you to bed, doing the washing and ironing the cleaning and the cooking. My mother doesn't do any of that. She works, said Jessica. She said as if she were ashamed. Heaps of mom work, especially now, I said reassuringly. My mom's gonna work, but now there's gonna be a war. She's gonna be a personal secretary. I wasn't quite sure what that entailed, but I said it grandly because Mom sounded proud of her new position. Jessica simply shrugged. What sort of work does your mom do then? I said. She hesitated. She was actually very posh, even though she was proving extraordinarily nice. Her mother couldn't do anything to lowly Shirley. I ran through all the occupation that would make my mom turn at her nose. Factory hand, bus conductress, bar lady, laboratory attendant. She's an actress." Jessica blurted out. This took me by surprise. "Crickly, really? What? A film actress?" "Sometimes, and she's also on the stage." "Would I have heard of her?" I asked. I tried to remember the name and see if Mom had ever seen her. She had to go to the audience once a week as a treat. "She's Imogen Starlight," said Jessica flatly. My mouth fell open. Imogen Starlight was the most famous British actress ever. Mom was always reading about her in the picture girl. I've never seen any of her films because Mom said they were all too grown up for me. But I pored over the photos of her. I've seen her in chic dresses and high heels, in sweaters and slacks, in sparkly evening dresses, even in her swimming costume. She was beautiful, very slender, with fair hair, a kittenish face, and the most amazing enormous violet blue eyes. I looked at Jessica doubtfully. Her long dark plait, her pale round face, her little old glasses. She didn't look remotely like Imogen Starlight. She had to be telling fibs. If so, understood. I sometimes told stories to the other children in my class, though I took pain to make them convincing. Besides, I've never heard of Imogen Starlight having a daughter. I remember her husband, maybe several, but Mom would have shown me if there had been a photo of Imogen with her child. Film stars always dress their daughters in frilly mini versions of their own clothes, and sometimes they carry dolls in minutes, matching outfits too. Mom always cool over these pictures. She had knitted matching mother and daughter jumper for us, but I always felt hot and self-conscious when people remark on them. "I take it you've heard of Imogen Starlight," said Jessica. "Of course I have," I said. I didn't know what to say next. I could accuse her of downright lying. "So, is your name Jessica Starlight then?" "Don't be silly. I'm Jessica Lippman. My father's Michael Lippman. He's a film producer, but you probably won't have heard of him. And Imogen Starlight isn't my mother's real name anyway. She was born Inkpots, but that doesn't sound very glamorous, does it?" said Jessica. "She's Imogen Starlight now, all right," twinkling away, smiling her famous smile with like all those pretty white teeth. Half them are false, actually, like her. She spoke with such vehemence that I changed my mind. She had to be telling the truth after all, unlikely as it seemed. "What about your dad, then? Is he all right?" "I love my dad. He joined up already. He's very brave," I said. Dad was actually quite timid. When we found a rat in the kitchen, he squealed and ran away. When Mom had to deal with it, still, I was sure he's a wonderful soldier, and come home with medals on his chest. I don't see my father as much. He lives in Hollywood. I had a stepfather who was okay, but I can't stand my mother's new boyfriend," said Jessica. "It was his idea to send me to this awful convent. Those girls aren't very friendly." I said. "You're telling me?" "And Charlie Chaplin is positively faux," said Jessica. We both giggled weakly again. "Still, maybe living in the convent is better than living at home with your mother and the stepfather if you don't like them," I suggested. "No, because I didn't see them much. I had Nanny. She looked after me since I was a baby." "I love Nanny," said Jessica fiercely. "I had a nanny too, Nanny McGott. She was my dad's mom, and she was ever so nice. I did jigsaw puzzle with her," I said, "but she's dead now." "Nanny isn't my grandma. She's my actual nanny, like a nurse," said Jessica. "What? Like Mary Poppins?" I asked, very impressed. Jessica nodded. "Only she doesn't have a parrot head, umbrella, or a carpet bag, and she doesn't do magic. But she's lovely even so. She's not thin like Mary Poppins. She's small and very plump, and she got arthritis, so her hands don't work very well now. But she can't walk very fast. She's the person I love most in the world. But now my mother sent her away. She says I don't need a nanny anymore, and it's awful because Nanny's too old to get another job, and she hasn't got a proper home of her own, and she had to go and live with her sister. I miss her so much." Jessica was crying now. tears pooling down inside her glasses. She took them off to wipe them. She looked much younger without them. They left little pink marks on either side of her nose. "Oh, Jessica," I said. "Sorry, I don't usually drip on like this," she told me. "You drip all you want." I swallowed hard, wondering if I dared say it. "Jessica, could we be friends?" "I would love to be friends, Shirley. You're the only girl I've ever been able to talk it properly," said Jessica, and she took my hands and squeezed. "And we'll stay friends when we get to wherever we're going and play together. And will they keep you shut up in school?" I asked. "I'll creep out if they do. We'll meet up heaps, I promise. And you can borrow my books if you like," I said. "Any of them. Especially ballet shoes." "You're the nicest girl ever," said Jessica. I swallowed, overcome. Then the door of our carriage slid open, and Sister Josephine came lumbering into the corridor. "What on earth are you two girls up to? Surely you have calmed down by now, Jessica," she demanded. Shirley was being very comforting. Jessica couldn't quite look at her Sister Josephine, and I didn't dare either. We knew that her mustache would set off laughing all over again. "Well, come and sit down properly. We'll start a game of famous people. You can both join in," she said. It was a rather lame game where one girl had to think of a famous person, and the other girls could ask 20 questions to see if they could guess who it was. It was the red-haired girl with freckles. They discovered that she was thinking of an actress who had been in lots of films. "What if it's your mom?" I whispered in Jessica's ears. "Do they know?" "I'm not telling this lot," she whispered back. "Now then, girls, don't whisper secrets in company. It's very rude," said Charlie Chaplin. "Join in the game." The famous person wasn't Imogen Starlight. It was Ginger Rogers. Then it was Munchin's turns. Jessica and I sat silently while the others asked silly questions. "Come on, Jessica, make an effort," said Charlie Chaplin. "Try to guess the famous person." "I don't know any famous person," said Jessica. I caught her eyes, and we both started giggling again. "You're a pair of silly billies," said the nun disapprovingly. "Let's start our own private club." Jessica murmured to me. "We'll call ourselves Silly Billies." "Goofy and Munchin got there before us," I whispered. "Girls, what did I just tell you? No whispering at all." So we sat in silence while the others played their silly game. Jessica pulled a little red leather diary out of her blazer pocket. I gazed at it in awe. I hadn't really realized how easily you could tell the difference between real leather and plastic. I itched to own a beautiful little diary like that, but of course, it would cost a fortune. Jessica unsheathed the tiny pencil from its spine and started fussily scribbling something on the page. She held the diary very close to her chest, her head bent. I decided she must be very short-sighted, in spite of her glasses. I couldn't see what she was writing, even though I was right next to her. I wondered if it was about me. What might she put? She suddenly held the open diary in front of me. She hasn't been writing at all. She's been drawing. She's done a brilliant little cartoon likeness of Sister Josephine, though she was wearing a bowler hat on top of her wimple, and holding a cane, and her black lace stuff were sticking out sideways. Jessica had drawn in every hair of her toothbrush mustache. Sister Josephine was Charlie Chaplin to a T. I struggled desperately not to laugh. I bit down on the side of my cheeks, but I couldn't stop myself shaking. Sister Josephine could feel me vibrating. "Jessica Lippman, let me see what you've written in that diary," she demanded. "I haven't written anything, Sister Josephine," Jessica said truthfully. "Hand it over immediately." "But I can't let you look in my diary, it's private," Jessica insisted. "I've just seen you show it to the little girl beside you," said the nun. "That's different. Shirley's my friend." "Ooh, new bug pulled up with Toti Toilet," said Goofy. What a perfect pair, said Munchkin, holding her nose as if we smelled. How pathetic. Gertrude, Monica, stop being so unkind, said Sister Josephine. I won't have a silly name calling, no matter what the circumstances. And Jessica, give me that diary immediately. But all once the train tooted, jolting and then started barking. Oh, crumbs, we're here, Goofy cried. I do believe you're right, said Sister Josephine, leaping up in a panic, and brushing meat paste sandwich crumbs of her black habit. Started getting your case down from the rack and tidy yourself up a little. I want you to look as smart as possible. Lady Amersham may be very well meeting us. She has kindly allowed us to be set up in school in her magnificent country house. We're very privileged. Jessica slid her diary into her pocket, flaring her nostril with relief. I wonder if my school is going to live in a posh country house too. I asked, do you think it's big enough for 2 schools? I hope so, said Jessica. I thought how thrilled Mom would be if she knew I was living with a real lady. I don't like Sister Josephine. I hated all the other convent girls, but I like Jessica enormously. Perhaps we could share a desk and sleep next to each other at night. She might help me with my lesson. She seemed much cleverer than me. We could read all my books together. We'll wander around arm in arm and whisper secrets to each other. My heart started thumping hard under my itchy fair owl. It would be glorious. So yay, in chapter 3, Jessica and Shirley have been best friends, and they've laughed a lot about Charlie Chaplin too. So bye, thanks for watching. See you in the next video for chapter 4. Bye.